Hello. In this chapter, you're going to be looking at language development among children of diversity. This means the basic premise of this chapter is how a child's culture impacts their language development. In your opinion, do you think it matters? Think about your own upbringing and how you talk. I know I have a very southern drawl to my own dialect, and so I do think that highly influences who I am and my language development when I was growing up. Even today, actually, when my first name is Carrie, but my drawl is so strong, sometimes people think I'm saying Gary. I usually don't even correct them at this point. I just go with it. But it's because of my language and my background that influences this. And this chapter really goes deep into idiomatic expressions. This is the way that language and dialects reflect the settings and cultures in which they are used. One example of this is the use of idiomatic expressions. An idiomatic expression is a fixed phrase of words whose meaning is derived holistically rather than literally. For example, the phrase "miss the boat" does not mean someone did not make it to the boat before it left the dock. Instead, what it means is it this phrase is often used to mean that someone failed to meet the deadline. Idiomatic expressions are present in all languages and thus reflective of culture and settings in which they are used. Idiomatic expressions are often puzzling to children who are learning the language and may be especially puzzling to second language learners. Are you familiar with the Judy B. Jones book series? This is a great example of, she takes Judy B. Jones as a character. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend you get one of these books and read them. If you have kids that are in elementary age, you've probably been exposed to these books. But Judy B. Jones is a very curious young lady, and she takes everything literally. And so that's why her books are so humorous to kids, because she takes everything that is said to her literally. So I highly recommend, if you can get your hands on one of these, to read the book. It's they're quite entertaining. Now we're going to watch this quick video about how to support children's language development in the early childhood classroom.
Early childhood is an exciting period of learning and development. High-quality preschools recognize, value, and draw on children's cultural and linguistic backgrounds to design and implement learning activities. They encourage home language maintenance and English language learning, and they support children's appreciation of differences through carefully planned and relevant learning experiences. This video shows the planning process at a preschool and illustrates selected activities being used in the classroom. It also provides key points and topics for your discussion. As you watch, consider how you'll implement these ideas in your own practice.
As you know, we have some new children starting in the program. These families are from different ethnic and cultural backgrounds, and we're also going to be talking about supporting their children's learning of English. Let's find out a little bit about the children.
One of the families has two sisters that are coming into our program. They're 3 years old and 4 years old. Both of the children were born here in the United States. However, both parents were born in Korea. The children are bilingual. They speak and understand both Korean and English, but they have a higher receptive understanding of Korean. There is a grandmother who's the primary caretaker in the family. She's responsible for dropping the children off at school and picking them up, and grandmother speaks only Korean.
I can relate learning English as a second language because I was born in Korea. I came here when I was 9. At home, my mom and my grandma didn't speak any English, so I always had to speak Korean to them. So I learned English at school.
One of the things I like to do is to sing the good morning song in different languages. I ask the children to tell me, how do you say good morning in your language?
And here we go. Buenos dias, Maya. Buenos dias, Bella M. Buenos dias, Delaney. We're glad you came today. Derek. Buenos dias, Derek. And buenos dias to everyone.
For the house area, I think we can add probably some clothing from the different cultures. I brought in some a sarape, a sombrero, and we can also bring some cooking utensils for the house area where the children can just practice cooking something that they may see mom or grandma do at home, and then just share it with their classmates or say, oh, this is what I eat at my house.
Up with one hand, good for you. What does it look like to you? Is it kind of tricky? Wow, you got it. I wonder what that is. And are you using your chopsticks to pick up your food? Ooh, look at that. It fell down.
If needed, use alternative or augmentative communication means, such as pictures, manual signs, or voice output devices.
Do you want to cut with scissors? And the spaghetti, you could cut spaghetti with scissors. We could read a book or do a puzzle. Cut spaghetti with scissors. Read a book. Do you want to read a book? Okay, let's go get that book.
So this was a great example. That video was on how to support cultural and linguistic diversity in the early childhood classroom. This is just one of many fabulous videos that can be found online. Also, you could label your classroom in multiple languages. You know, a print-rich environment is very important to making the connection for kids of symbols, letters, making how letters represent symbols that represent words. And if you're doing it in several different languages, like a child that's English is not their home language, or for some of you, you know, there might be an Indian language that is prominent in your culture, in your community. That would be a great thing to also do in your classroom, is to label the classroom in that language as well. Probably one of the most important things for you to remember is that for kids to be have multiple language abilities, it is possible at very young ages for kids to be bilingual, but it's important to remember that languages are very different in the different cultures, and there are different things in each language culture that will not translate into the other language. And also kids who are bilingual tend to be a little slower at learning the second language. So like if a child, for instance, like the video, the young lady had moved from Korea and then she came to America and learned English. And so it's not unusual that it takes a little bit longer to learn that language. I could tell you, I had a friend who moved from Russia to the U.S., and when she got to the U.S., she watched TV to learn English. Actually watched Sesame Street a lot, she said, to learn English. So her story's a really incredible story. But I've always been intrigued by that she watched Sesame Street to learn English. So it's just really important to learn that culture is important to on how it impacts language development, especially the more diverse your classroom is. You know, the more alert you need to be on how the impacts of the different language and cultures impact, how the different cultures impact the language development in those cultures. So I would even say there's probably one that our textbook doesn't discuss, and that's the tech talk that is impacting language in, I would not say probably early childhood as much as college age, but still that language development and that language, that's a whole different language. The tech talk, IDK for meaning I don't know, or LOL or I guess it's Bahaha now, so aging myself there. But anyway, you get the idea. So there's chapter 3, and good luck on your quiz. Be sure that you read your chapter well, and I'm sure you'll do great on the quiz. See you in the next chapter.